is basically expected to perform, which is Vitality.Bee, bringing in 4 ex-LEC players, compared to Solary, who maybe don't have as much LEC or EU-LCS experience from the past, but do have a lot of synergy and chemistry with one another.
And that's the interesting thing to me about when I look at Solary, the fact that despite keeping their roster consistent as long as they have, they did end up swapping their top laner. Now they have Keo in the top. Makes me wonder what they do see in him and how he might better fit in the current roster as it stands too. And still, even though that's the case, like you said, a lot of synergy is going to be available.
Yes, it will. And already into the draft, as you can see here, ladies and gentlemen, 3 mid lane bans essentially for Vitality.Bee, Corki, Victor, Sindra. Get him out of here. The response was Caitlyn, Renekton, and Jace, but we are just absolutely cruising through this draft as Lee Sin was the first pick, but response, Rakan, and Viego here for Solary.
Right, and we're going to see the Thresh come through as well for Vitality.Bee. Jack Troll will be running that one. And there it is, a Jinx Thresh. We're seeing it for the second time today. Played earlier in game 1 by K-Corp. And we're going to see how well that one works out. And wow, that's not even a hover. That's a Xerath.
That is a Xerath. I mean, all right, we'll see how this plays out. I mean, it's perfect. I mean, pending for the fact that, listen, we don't probably want to save our mid lane to the second phase. They've already threw 3 at us, but, you know, Xerath, I think maybe more of an interesting one. Haven't really seen a whole lot of changes. Offers a ton of poke. Does what, you know, more or less as Zoe would be doing, but now they're probably going to pinch out the mid laners that would punish the Xerath pretty hard, I would imagine.
Yeah, true. He is very difficult to approach, and I think when you look at Lee Sin, when you look at Thresh, trying to close the gap, trying to front line, trying to get on top of people like the Xerath, he likes that. He has the ability to stay outside of their effective range, pelt out obscene amounts of damage, so I think it will end up working out pretty well. He can serve as that backliner while the rest of Solary end up going in. Joko, steal back, playing the Viego and the Rakan, have a lot of opportunity to dive backline, while Scarlet's just going to be pelting from downtown.
Yeah, and Vitality.Bee maybe not convinced that the Xerath is going to the mid lane. Still prioritizing more bans here, so we'll see exactly what happens. I mean, you know, if we were to see the Xerath put anywhere else, it would maybe be support.
Yeah.
Can't imagine where else that would go, since the fact that they have the Rakan already locked in there in their first couple of picks. So we'll see if maybe that was just the fact that they were caught off guard by the Xerath and expected it to go to the support role and maybe did not even notice the Rakan, but it looks like they are going to throw another ban. This one obviously also flexed into the top lane here as well, as Aurelia will be banned out.
Yes, he's seen a lot of bans so far, and now we're just going to see the rest of how this draft is going to play out. I'm just as curious. Will that actually be Xerath in the bottom lane? I mean, it could pair decently well with Jhin. I mean, it's very easy for you to get the root off of that Deadly Flourish because both of you have such long-range abilities, so I could actually see how that would be a nightmare lane to deal with here. The Nidalee Hover is definitely an interesting one. The Vex makes a lot more sense because if that ends up being Xerath mid, you will still have some way to be able to contest mid priority and be able to trade, I think, rather effectively.
Certainly the case, and now it will be the Vex locked in and confirmed. Jack Troll was hovering over that Yuumi, but that's not going to come in. We already got the Thresh, so there we have it. Nice AP to really mesh things out here across the board in the top lane as well. And now you have a lot of AoE, a lot of damage that can come through here from this composition. It's just a matter of what do you want to grab here for your last pick. Little hover over the Silas could potentially be the play.
Wow, it really, if the silence gets locked in, it really must be Xerath in the support role. But okay, there it is. The hover ends up getting us again. It does make more sense here. And the fact that
effort in making sure that they have content going, socials going, and obviously they've invested a lot into their B team in case any of these guys have to come up and, you know, heaven forbid, actually replace one of the players on the main roster. That's what they want. That is the goal. And to do that, you have to have strong performances. So we'll see if they can start off strong. That is the expectation. This is the team that finished 3rd in the summer split. So one of the stronger squads that we do have here throughout the LFL.
And I just want to look back at this mid lane matchup again here. I think it makes sense that you want to go the route of the Xerath so that you can stay in the backline and be more protected, right? And you can keep yourself at range. But we saw the example of what Diplex is playing there in the Vex and how well it can set you up for some of these fights, some of these objectives. And when you have follow-up CC, how effective it can actually be. I think because of how long-range that Shadow Surge is, if landed correctly, I think it's going to be hard for Scarlet and the likes of Azza to be able to stay out of harm's way.
Absolutely. Looks like it is just going to be Both junglers starting leashless will just take a little bit more damage through their initial clear. Jackstrol, though, already trying to demonstrate really what happened a little earlier when we saw the Jinx in Thresh lane and just how potent it can be, especially when you land some of this CC. A lot of the Threshes have been opting in for this Glacial Rune here on top of it beatdown, where it's like if you get on anyone, especially in the early stages where you don't have boots and movement speed, it feels like, oh man, I feel like I got a flash because I just have nowhere to go.
Yeah, it basically feels like a stun at that point. And,
Sure
with
does.
Thresh, who I think builds AP when he gets souls, that it actually ends up, because that determines the slope for Glacial, so it ends up getting better even though Thresh is going the tanky route. So it seems like with the changes to the Keystone, it is really nice overall. And you can see it, Jackstrol and Jeskla do have push in this bottom lane, and it is going to be tough for the early minutes for the bot lane of Solary to be able to farm.
Jackstrol showing us what it can do. Cleanse already out here, as it has to make sure that he does not get taken down and miss this big of a wave. That would be devastating for the early parts of this game. And Jin never really likes farming under tower, likes usually be the one that's kind of pressuring and pushing out the lane here, but at the moment will not have any of that in his favor, so we'll have to do his best to use all 4 of those shots to farm to the best of his ability. Top lane already some scrappings. Jenda going to be able to land some decent damage onto Kyo, as he's going to be under a little bit of harass and punishment here so far in the lane.
Yeah, we saw in the last game, Gwen does take a little time, some items to come online, but man, Vizichachi showed us how much damage she can do later on here. So it's going to be some time before Kyo can really get involved. I like the pick of the Ghost as well, making it so that you can close the gap. People can't outrun you, and it will be up more often than the Flash. And I think overall, too, if you look at mid lane, this is kind of what we were expecting. Their Flex is getting the push in with this Vex. Very strong laner early on, and the problems of when that level 6 comes are still there.
And yeah, once level 6 comes through with that Shadow Surge in the mid lane here, Scarlet's going to have to be on his toes, making sure he does not get bursted down all in. You can also set up quite a bit of plays here with the Lee Sin, getting from behind, kicking out, a Xerath that only really has a flash as an escape, so could be very vulnerable. Bot lane, Joko might want to get a little mixy down here. Important to note that, you already said it, Steelback and him have been playing together so long that before Steelback role swapped, he was playing 80 carry with Joko. So there has been plenty of synergy built up. And if there's synergy that you want on a team, you want it to be between your support and your jungler when you're setting up objectives, when you're setting up engages, all of that and some. But Skeens will be able to grab himself a free Scuttle Crab, is now just going to hover top just to make sure he's covering. But it's a pretty big wave, and I think Kyo might know that something's up and might invest the TP to come back at full health.
I think that's going to be the play. I mean, what good is TP for besides that nowadays anyway in the laning phase? So it makes sense to, once you see that Lee Sin is there, the dive is absolutely on the cards. So you just want to dodge that as best as you can. And we're going to see the TP. Actually, both solo laners commit their TPs to get back to lane here. As we just get back to this lull period where in Skeens has, besides that appearance, not done a whole lot, has just been farming early on, is seeming to look to get to that level 6 as quickly as he can, and once the Dragon's Rage comes through, he can really start setting up plays with kicks.
Scarlet has also opted into taking away that TP. Bot lane, Jackstrol landing the hook. No cleanse, right into the traps. The combo is good, and Jackstrol gives him the Lantern. Should be able to find the last auto. That is the kill for Jeskla, but that is the trade as well. Steelback, can he get away? Support versus support. Grand Entrance has to be up fairly soon, unless Jackstrol can somehow fish for this hook. It's not going to happen. It was fairly close, but it is going to be, of course, just the trades of the 80 carries.
Yeah, I think overall still very positive for the side. Actually, no, both supports ended up getting the kills, it looks like. So, yeah, it ends up being a pretty even trade, pretty even lane state, but still, I like the plays. Jackstrol, again, getting very aggressive. Any opportunity he can to proc Glacial go for the death sentence. It is just being taken here. And we're at this point now where Skeens is getting really close to that level 6, and he can start coming in here and trying to affect some of these fights. We see pings for the Dragon coming through from Solary, something they may want to look towards going for here. Maybe stack some early Dragons before this Rift Herald actually comes up.
Vision control looking good. Skeens is here with his support. Jackstrol will be able to lead the charge, and Skeens just hovering in case someone was trying to make a little bit of a play on his teammate, but it's not going to happen. Everything's just going to be completely checked out. This is great vision control. You have pinks in the dot brush, in the line brush here through mid, giving you easy access to rotations, and also pushing out Joko as you can look for a hook, but Jack Troll's not going to throw one out. Instead, might just fight for some bot lane priority and then potentially shift over into the jungle or shift over to this dragon.
Now he is moving in, but you actually have Skarlet on the move first. So he might be in a bit of a situation here. The right of the Arcane is available, so Skarlet can have an impact from a distance if he so chooses. He's actually walking down, so there could be a play being made on this bottom side of the map. Everyone's out of lane here. Sends the top laners and could be looking for something as Jessica tries to shove this wave in.
There it is. Wave is shoved in, and the call is made. Let's get this dragon going. It is a mountain dragon. You're always happy with the early resistances to help you in the laning phase. And it looks like this one should go over uncontested. Jessica even going to walk up, just throw a little bit more vision down so that they have all the information necessary to take this objective freely. And now with the mountain low, will be no problem. Skeens is going to be able to grab it. Already making his way to the top side will be Joko, as they're just going to have to give this one up.
And look at that, full health, full mana. They're happy to continue pushing this lane out, continue adding pressure to Steelback and Azad. You can see it, despite Jhin not liking to farm under turret, he's been doing a pretty good job so far. Only down a handful of creeps and is able to keep up in gold as a result.
Yeah, that's a strong point. It's not easy to farm on a tower with that guy, man.
No.
Yeah, we only got 4 shots and you got to reload. Sometimes you miss a creep from time to time.
Sure.
Showing us that he's got a bit of practice on it. Joko now wants to take it upon himself to start up the Rift Herald. He does have a mid lane priority. Mid lane's going to make his way over. Keo also going to come on over and just make sure that this one will be secured. Might give him level 6. We will see. Joko should just be able to hit the eye, and there is the level 6 as well. So Heartbreaker now available. Also with the Rift Herald, you can look for some of these turret plates here on any lane that you choose.
Yeah, and at this point, Joko, he has the Sheen build. He has that level 6 ready to go. The Heartbreaker is available. There are places, if he wants to try and make a play, if he can get a kill, you can suddenly get a lot of turret plates in your favor here. I mean, bot lane, I think, is the most attractive one for me, just because of the fact that Jack Troll and Jessica, they've been pushed in this entire time. There's a pretty easy angle to go through here, but speaking of angles, it's Skeens who has the angle.
Yeah, it does not look like they have a lot of vision. The hook is going to land, but the cleanse comes out. Skeens does give his position away after he uses that Sonic Wave, but you don't want to lose this wave. However, you don't really have anyone in position to help defend it. Diplex is waiting somewhere in the jungle, so you know Xerath can't go in there investigating, and you have a bit of a late tempo here from Joko, so he's just coming back out. Just going to miss a few more CS, still just the 2 kills here apart, but it is going to be Vitality.Bee that have been playing this slow and methodical, holding on to about that 1K gold lead.
And I like the call from Skeens just to back it up, not actually try and overstay and commit, force to dive, because you'll end up losing so much with Joko coming in as well. I think that ward there is in the dot brush, so it should have spotted out, or in the tri brush, it should have spotted out Joko. So Jessica and Jack Troll know that they can just back off, recall, spend some of the gold they've earned for themselves here, and continue walking back to lane to farm. There's nothing to play for at the moment here. We're just kind of relaxed, waiting for Joko to find a position to use the Rift Herald in.
And Jack Troll might go for a little bit of a hike here to see what's happening in the mid lane. I mean, playing around this Xerath could be an option. Skarlet, again, only having that flash to get away. And we'll see how much value this Xerath does bring to the table here at Beatdown. It's a champion that we do not normally see. It's normally known for, poking out your champions in the mid lane, trying to just outrange them more or less. Just be that massive artillery cannon in the back line as you take away the health bars, but you have to get to a point with that first and second item before it becomes really effective. But Jack Troll, he's doing an excellent job warding up in the top side. Steelback, though, knows something's up, and he's already setting up and covering his top laner in case of a dive.
Yeah, really smart. And just to your point about the Xerath and how he needs time to come online, Skarlet is going to have to play very carefully as well. He's going to have to do his best Muhammad Ali impression, dodging blows left, right, and center, because if things like that supersonic strike come through from Skeens, if that shadow surge comes through, or if Shigenda finds him in a really awkward angle and pops the ulti, well, Skarlet's going to find himself in a lot of trouble.
Very much could. Ping's coming down in the bot lane like they might want to make another play, and I mean, this tower has just been ripped to pieces. Already 4 plates going over. Jessica happily chipping away at that last one, and you just don't have the numbers here to confidently walk up, So that is first tower gold over to this Jink, all solo as you mentioned, but in the river, Jack Troll in a bit of trouble, has to flash away. Flash Grand Entrance doesn't hit the mark, but it's fine. The charm does. Joko follows it up, and some of that 2v2 synergy we already mentioned between these guys will end up being successful on the pick.
Yeah, now they're going to have to drop Herald. It looked like it was going to time out, so at least some plates will be gained in the mid lane. Difflex, though, not really in any realistic danger. But let's take a look at the bot lane again. The CS difference is really starting to grow. Now, the play you were talking about where Skeens and Jeskla were applying a lot of pressure to Azza is really starting to come to fruition. Now we have a 20 CS lead. Now a lot of solo plates went over to Jeskla, including the solo local gold for taking the first turret. This Jinx is juiced, Austin.
Juiced indeed. And talking about CS leads, I mean, Sagenda, he's just been in the top lane and he's been happily farming. Has 31 CS over his counterpart at the moment. Keo, of course, one of the newer players brought over to this roster, is looking to try and have that same impact that he's had here in some of the minor leagues throughout Europe. But a lot to prove, a lot of expectations coming into a team that already has synergy. You're more looking to try and work around them, and as long as he can be a rock on the top lane, I'm sure that's just about all you could be happy with, and he has not given over any deaths, at least thus far. But now our next objective on your screen, it will be an Ocean Dragon. That is up for the take-in. Already one has gone over. That was picked up from Vitality, but Joko has to flash away. A little bit too deep. Will be punished and no longer has one of his summoner spells.
Yeah, like it doesn't hesitate immediately. It's like, okay, I've made a mistake. I need to get out right now, and he manages to do so. But being caught out means Skeens has an easy time just going for this Drake. It's going to be the second for Vitality.Bee, who have been stacking these pretty consistently. And we're going to find out pretty soon what the soul is going to look like. I mean, considering what's left, okay, it's Chemtech, so that is a great Dragon Soul to find out about because Vitality.Bee already have 2.
Yeah, that's really bad news here for Solary. I mean, you have champions like Xerath and Jhin that need vision, need control in order to confidently walk up, to get auto attacks in, to get abilities in, and when you have to, majority of the time do that through lane or do that when you have to face check with a Rakan or something along those lines, it's not easy to always get the setup here. So good news, I would say, for Vitality.Bee with things like a Kennen, things like a Vex that can pop out and surprise you and burst you down, but now that turret plates are completely gone, we'll start to see Vitality get some work done in the top side. They're going to drop a lot quicker if they can hammer away on it, and the control and the setup for members here to help facilitate this push.
And I like the point about face checking and how, Steelback, although Rakan, excellent support overall, the one flaw is he's not as tanky as the other hard engaged supports. And it's the trade-off for the mobility that he offers. And because of that, this map is going to be a little tough. And I think even without it, trying to face check some of these objectives is going to be hard. And Jack Troll.
Oh, Jack Troll's in a lot of trouble. All of that CC just comes raining down. And finally, we see a moment where Solary is able to actually find a pick, and that will also likely lead to a free Rift Herald here on the top side too.
Right, and it's going to be easy. It's going to be 2 Rift Heralds in a row for Solary here, who are about 1,000 gold behind. Hopefully they can drop this and find a little more value than they did before. Maybe they can drop that mid-tier 1 turret if they find an appropriate fight for them here. Jack Troll is back on the map. With the bot lane moved up to this side of the map, maybe they'll consider going here, but it seems like we're going to recall. We're going to think about this one, and we're just going to try and make plays elsewhere. At the moment, not much going on the screen here. We have Sagenda, who shoved the wave in and now is on the move, so if somebody shows up, they could actually make a play for a dive if they wanted to. He has the flash, he has the ult.
He does. Has that TP too that Keo is unable to match, at least for the time being, in case they do end up meeting each other in the lane assignments, which would likely be the play, but Keo's going to take a reset. Meanwhile, back to the top lane. Jack Troll's here with his AD carry again. Jeskla, he could put some pressure on the tower. They've already been able to get themselves 1 in the bot side, maybe a chance at 2 now in the top side here. As just knows 1 hook, and there goes my cleanse, and once you lose that cleanse, it is a lot more difficult to walk up. But there's the second tower. Jeskla is going to take it. They're making sure they're feeding all of the resources into their hyper carry.
He's got so much gold. This Jinx is beyond accelerated. Even though he has no kills, he is up CS against Azza. He has so much plate gold, turret gold in his pocket here. And we know Jinx, when she gets the 2 items, she really starts to come online and tear people apart. She's already level 10 at the moment, almost keeping up with the solo laners as well. And now, look who they found.
All right, Jack Troll, could he find him? That's a lot of damage from Scarlet. as he now has that Ludens completed, is also going to throw out the ultimate, trying to find some onto Jeskla, manages to hit the majority of them. That's probably good enough to force a reset out of Vitality.Bee. But Sagenda, maybe he's got other plans. Wants to make a solo play, and I feel like Shieldback wanted to punish it, but it will not happen. Sagenda should be A-okay, and now might make his way over to the side lane.
Yeah, nice. You end up nullifying the quickness because Steelback does end up getting feared, and that's the thing with Vex. She's so useful in the utility, the ability to slow people down, stop them from being able to do anything just momentarily. And I mean, that was just with an ability. Wait till we see the Shadow Surge come into play. We haven't seen a big fight. Diplex hasn't really found the opportunity to use it yet. But so far, silently, he's been having a good reign on control of the mid lane. For the most part, getting priority when needed, making plays when needed.
A minute away now from our third dragon. Vitality have been happily stacking them, and it could not have come at a better time because Jeskla just got his second item. Rapid fire cannon is in, but he's also got to make sure he does not get chunked out too hard, as he's going to lose half of his HP with one Xerath Q. I mean, this is what we talked about with the distance. If you can control it, if you can make sure no one's getting on top of you, you can make sure that a Jinx is not going to be able to get any damage off in a fight as long as you're hitting your skill shots.
And so far, Scarlet's been doing just that. Like you said, third dragon coming up soon, but the fight now for mid priority is the deal. I think Rift Herald might have been about to expire, but Sagenda's going in.
Slicing Maelstrom. It doesn't exactly find the mark, and now it's a flash, but that's a big punish here for Solary. They're going to be able to find the kill. Heartbreaker used there from Joko, as that should solidify and secure the next dragon going over. Unless Vitality are feeling mixy, but you just got to give this one up.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a good play for Solary. Being able to punish Sagenda, no top laner, no slicing Maelstrom means you don't have the team fight anymore if you're Vitality.Bee. And at this point, the right of the arcane, it's just gravy, Austin. Even though he gets speared, he is putting in a good amount of damage here. And Solary delay the Dragon Soul point, which is so important here because we know the struggle when an enemy team has 3 dragons and we're getting to that 20-25 minute mark.
Yes, we do. We are getting closer and closer, 1 minute away from the Baron, live on the map. Skeens will try to take away any of the golems he possibly can, and Azza will make sure that he does not get all of them at the very least, as he now makes his way over to the wave. And lane assignments might be a little bit weird for him. Probably wants to get to the mid lane, but that same note, you don't want your Xerath necessarily in the side lanes either, especially overextending with some of the champions that we have, like Lee Sin, like a Vex, that can surprise you. Use some of that movement to really catch you off guard with some kills. But now Jeskla back to the mid lane. He's really got to make sure that he positions around this Xerath, who's likely coming back to him, because, you know, one of these Qs is going to continue to chunk half of his health bar. Luckily, he's got the red to make sure things at least are a tad bit easier here for the time being, though.
Right, and speaking of, Scarlet is in the area. Oh, the slow means it is going to land again. That's got to feel terrible. You just, every time you show up, you end up losing half of your HP, but it's enough. He will still have the healing from the red buff, like he said. And at this point, it will give control over the mid lane over to Solary. And right now, instead, Vitality.Bee, instead of focusing on mid, you're seeing the help pings come through. They potentially want to make a play onto the side lane bottom. I think they just want to give up this mid tier 1 turret. I mean, it was dead to rights anyway, and see if they can make a play on the Keo.
Tower goes down in the mid lane. Joko just kind of bobbing and weaving, playing and toying with the fact that, hey, I could set up and engage. Sagenda has come through from behind, but here's the quickness into the grand entrance. Skeens is low, but he's able to dash away for now. Jackal on the retreat. They're going to be able to find themselves one. Curtain call comes out, but does not look like any shots connect. However, another big pick. This one on the jungler here for Vitality.
And that was an awkward play coming out from Vitality. It feels like we saw the help pings. They want to make a play onto Keo. Maybe you can kill him and take the tier 2, or at the very least pressure it so you can get that turret, but you're hanging out in lane, or rather in the river close to the bottom lane, and you give Joko and the rest the opportunity to get on top of you and make the play. You need to be more decisive than that, or you are going to get picked apart, especially because we keep talking about the long range damage and engage coming through from Solary's team composition. You don't have the luxury to hesitate.
That's right. You really do not whatsoever, and slowly but surely stacking up that lead that has been bouncing back and forth between the two, as much as we see 5 kills here for Solary. there have been quite a bit of towers taken, and a lot of that funneled into the Jinx means that the gold lead is basically even here for us. Just a slight lead here for Vitality as they take away some camps, but Diplex definitely going to be happy about grabbing the blue here for himself. Skeen's now also level 11, so a lot of key levels coming in. Jeskla just going to be responsible for keeping his life, holding on to this mid wave, and making sure that he's going to be able to grab all the farm necessary. But top lane could be a play setup. Steel back into position to dive if they so wish, but there's also members waiting by from Vitality, so nothing looks like it's going to come of it. Everyone simply just going to go back.
I like it. Solary continuing to push the pace here. They've basically caught up in gold. Now they want to get ahead, but at least they're not forcing the plays. They're not really trying to make something happen that isn't really there. But still, you see the things coming through. Diplex has walked back up to the top lane, and most of Solary are still in about the same spot in the top side jungle. They're committing the right of the Arcanos, and I think they're going to go for it.
Yeah, Diplex gets chunked out pretty hard. And how about a fourth shot? Catch that. Hold that. That's a big one right there. And this is the beauty of this range composition with the Jhin and the Xerath here beatdown.
Dude, Scarlet, he can't miss with the right of the arcade. Like, he's been landing so many of those missiles, and it just does so much damage. This time, Jeskla avoids the Q, which is nice, but overall, you're seeing the difference this Xerath can make as long as he can stay safe. And so far, Vitality.Bee haven't been able to get on top of Scarlet, and until they can reasonably pressure him or have an idea of where he is, those ultimates, those Xerath ultimates, they're going to continue to find impact, continue to do damage. And now that we're less than a minute away from this next dragon, Baron's on the table, you can't afford to make slip-ups like these if you're Vitality.Bee.
No, you cannot. Back's going to come through. A little bit of gold here for Azza. We take a look at the differentials between everyone. 2K right now for the Xerath overall. That is a massive gap over Diplex. And, I mean, that mainly comes down to just how well he's been CSing at the moment. I mean, above perfect, 240 CS at 23 minutes and 25 seconds. It has been beautiful throughout. But with this dragon coming up in 15 seconds, both teams are feeling the need to try and get a little bit of control. Skeen's going to start to take away the pink wards. Already, though, 4 strong for Solary if they want to make the rotation through mid.
Yeah, and I mean, at this point, Vitality.Bee, they have the move into the river. They're going to be able to grab this dragon, and it seems like Solary aren't going to do much about it. They're just going to let this one go. Allow Kyo to continue splitting in the top lane. This is a big risk because this is the soul point coming through on such a powerful dragon soul as well. Vitality.Bee, even though they have started to fall behind here, almost 1,000 gold down, being able to, one, the pressure from getting the soul point, two, the fact that they may actually get it is a big point in their favor. And the fact is, we still haven't seen, in my opinion, the full extent of Vitality.Bee's comp. They haven't found these fights that they've been looking for. The only slicing Maelstrom coming through wasn't the greatest attempt, and Vitality.Bee, you can tell they're looking for the opportunity to wombo combo their way to a win.
Yeah, I mean, sooner or later it's going to get frustrating, right? When you just get chunked out by the poke, and you're like, okay, well, as I say it, right? Look, we see both. I mean, Jeskla with some good movement there with the Gale Force does manage to close the gap, but now that's it's a key utility that you no longer have access to. So there's just so much range with both of these carries that have been drafted, and it's getting them just little bits of pressure that allows them to force out Jeskla into a back, force out some of the other players now that their AD carry is off the map. But with the red buff and a bit of life stealing, Jeskla is going to be right back up to full as we start to do a little bit of a Baron dance, but more or less just the setup here around the Baron.
Yeah, and I love that Kyo constantly on the split, always away from the rest of the team, shoving these waves, forcing Shigander to back and have to go to meet him. I think he won't be able to stop this turret from going through, but the good thing is TP is available for both of these top laners. So if a play is made, both will be able to join. Just the question is, will Shigander get the opportunity to get a good setup? We know how Kennons like to play. They like to hide, flank TP, find these angles so that they can get a huge slicing Maelstrom, get a huge amount of stuns, and actually win the day.
Oh, ping's coming down. It's just going to be around the Baron, but I don't think they're going to start anything up. But it might force somebody to come over and face check. And take a look at where Skeens is. He is nowhere near this Baron, so as soon as he shows, he could be in some trouble. But Sigenda going to try to chase down Kyo, has the Ghost, has the ultimate. Looks like he's going to be safe and sound, but that pink ward is going to spot out Skeens. It'll be interesting to see if they try to turn to the Baron or not.
Yeah, it's looking like if the pings are coming through, they know he's there. And at this point, with Scarlet pushing the wave, I think they can just go ahead and start this thing. They're making a big risk on Vitality.Bee to commit to Keo in the side lane to see if you can actually get the kill. And as a result, he is starting to move. But at this point, Solary aren't actually looking to do it. They're just looking to bait, it seems. But now they're just walking back into the mid lane.
Yeah, they don't have the fastest take per se. So they don't want to maybe risk anything, get too low, and give a free fight over to Vitality to win. But curtain call, Jack Troll will be in a bit of trouble. Quickness coming in. Jack Troll will go down to the 4th shot in the curtain call. Jeskla just trying to play a bit of dodgeball in the back as he will be able to hold on to his life. But with the pick on the support again, Jack Troll going down means that Solary going to move over here and potentially threaten the Baron.
Yeah, slow take or not, 5v4 chances you'll take if you are Solary. And at this point, Keo is already here. He still has the Ghost locked and loaded. If Jeskla, Diplex, whoever approach, he can really start to threaten them. And the damage is really starting to come through on this Baron. It's at this point, Schemes, what's he looking for? Will he be able to kick Joko out of the pit maybe?
4K HP on the Baron Nashor.
Oh.
Will we see a follow-up here from Diplex? He doesn't go in just yet. Does not really want to go on to Keo. But a smite was used there from Joko to get the health as the Slicing Maelstrom has come through. It's a big kill, and now Skeens finds the kick, sets it up. Vitality answering back. Mega Death Rocket does deal quite a bit of damage, but now it's a leash. It's a free setup. Vitality just bite their time, find the fight they need, and take down the Baron.
And that is all they needed to do. Sagendra just needed one good Slicing Maelstrom, and they could rip Solary to shreds. We talked about it earlier. The lack of a tanky presence really showed more than it did here. And the interesting thing, because Gwen had the Hallowed Mist up, I'm pretty sure that's why you couldn't use the Shadow Surge. So canceling that was a big deal, but ultimately, big flash from Sagendra, it didn't matter. He ended up setting up all he needed to for Schemes to go in, get the big kick, and the rest of the team collapse.
Beautifully done. And while that happens, Diplex, I'm just tanking the Baron, guys. Come back whenever you need, and we'll take it down while it's low HP. So that is going to be a beautiful consolation prize to come along with Vitality's win in the team fight. And now it sets up some timings around this potential Chemtech Soul here in the next 35 seconds. They have the control, they have the Baron. I mean, they also have themselves a bit of a gold lead now. One of the bigger ones we've seen, over 2,000 here for the time being. Jeskla also hitting some key power spikes, going to be a lot more effective as long as he's able to get those auto attacks out, but he's got to make sure he survives through all the poke first. He is dodging and weaving. I mean, he's living in the Matrix. That is going to be Jeskla making sure he gets out, and while that happens, say goodbye to Keo. He gets popped, he gets taken down. Shift over to the mid lane. It's going to be Vex going all in, but no support is there. Not enough damage available means that it's going to be Joko who enters back onto the mid laner.
And it's looking like the call is just to try and pull out the dragon, burst it out if possible. They still have Kennen. Look where he is. This is a pretty solid angle, but they end up finding him out. The damage is still coming through, though.
Oh, Sagendra does deal quite a bit with a Slicing Maelstrom, but he goes down. Azzo with a flash over the wall does a good amount of damage, but Jeskla is here. Zap will go wide. Good side step, but the autos could follow. Jeskla looking for another zap. That one connects, but the cleanse was good, making sure he gets out with the movement speed. And now Vitality have the numbers to shift over to the objective.
And insane. It's a 30-minute Dragon Soul, but Vitality.Bee are going to get it. That's Chemtech. That's Scion passive zombie mode on anyone who dies in these team fights. Austin, they just got a hell of a lot easier for the side of Vitality.Bee. You thought Solary had to play it smart before. Well, now you're going to have to do everything right, and you're going to have to do it twice.
Yes, you will. It is just so frustrating when you have to deal with it from time to time, especially when you have, a long-range composition that doesn't really have the luxury of tanking up everything. You look at who's going to be absorbing damage, and sure, it could be Keo, sure, it could be Joko, but these guys also want to get on the back line, or at the very least want to be hitting the 80 carries or hitting the carries of the comp. And that's going to become a lot more difficult when you have to worry about killing people twice. So everything you need here for Vitality. They took the Baron and have another 10 seconds or so, but ends up getting 3,400 gold out of it. And now with everything you need for the Chemtech Soul, you are in a strong position to start pushing up, taking away more of the map, and seeing if you could potentially break open the base.
And all you can hope for now, if you're Solary, if you want to come out in these fights, you have to basically do what Scarlet's been doing this whole time. Find picks, finish kills with the Rite of the Arcane from a very safe distance, because if you do that, you proc the zombie passive. Well, there's nothing for them to be able to do in those few seconds, and you actually secure yourself a really good numbers advantage. At this point, Vitality?
All right, they're going to try to pull the trigger. It's not enough damage to take down Jessica, and the rest of the team is here. They do manage to escape for the slicing maelstrom, and in the back, it's a snipe. They'll take down
Zombie
Jessica.
Jinx.
80 carry is down. A little bit
He's
more
gone.
damage comes through, but Jack Troll is left all alone. What a response here for Solary as they'll get to and take down the bot lane of Vitality.
And that's perfect. Catching out the 80 carry on their own to the point where the zombie doesn't actually do any damage, doesn't find any real value. And at this point now, you can get very aggressive, take control over this bottom side of the map, and also objective bounties are up. You are
Yes.
far enough down gold if you are on the side of Solary, and this is your way back in. Bonus gold, global for the entire team is how you can potentially find yourself back into this. But oh my God, Scarlet.
I think that's the most pressure Scarlet's been in a long time.
Yeah.
It feels like he's been able to keep a safe distance away from any danger, but that's a moment where Sagenda is going to be able to pressure a bit more, and now another tower will end up going over. So closing that gold lead down to about 1K in the back line here is going to be Skeens. I don't think he's going to have a window into this fight. His teammates are still lacking behind. Mega Death Rocket comes out, but it's not going to do a whole lot of damage here. Sagenda using that slicing maelstrom in the mid lane doesn't have a window in either, so they basically just do the stare down. No engaging happening.
Man, and that was a lot. But speaking of engaging, they're going back.
All right, Steelback thinks he has a moment to go in. Sagenda, though, will be able to use that Zanya's and will be safe and sound as long as he dodges out. How's his movement? Movement's looking decent. The last one would have been enough. And how about a little fist bump emote to go up in the end? Sagenda, with the nice fancy feet, holds on to his life.
Yeah, now Solary, they're holding on. They're managing to keep this game going longer and longer, but this is going to get increasingly difficult. When you think about Baron being up in about a minute and this Rift making it harder to walk in, there's a lot of plays from Camouflage that Vitality.Bee are going to be able to make here. Now, this is still a good opening for Solary because even though Slicing Maelstrom's not available, Zanya was forced out from Sagenda. That does mean that he's going to have to be a little more careful about the fight that he looks for and how he approaches it because it could be a one-way ticket.
Mid lane, back to Vitality. Just trying to get a bit of control. Jessica now, I think, has Bloodthirster completed, having that shield there over him, making things probably a little bit easier in case all that poke comes through. You can heal yourself back up with all that lifesteal. And now level 16 as well for Jessica. Right here with Diplex and just about all the other solo laners here for us besides Scarlet, who has just been farming up like an absolute monster. But the Baron is now alive and active here again. It will be Solary that have the first move and will control the majority of the vision, but that Chemtech Soul setting up a bit of camouflage here. Joko just doing a little bit of searching, seeing what he can find in case anyone is wandering in that shouldn't be.
And I love this because the Scuttle Crab is up. It's not that simple for Solary to go for the Baron. It kind of partially nullifies the fact that Sagenda doesn't have the TP. He is able to shove this wave very deep and back away and then just move back to the team. So now, because of that, there is no actual option at the moment for Solary to take advantage, take the Baron. And at this point, everybody just has to recall and kind of go back to neutral here whilst Keo tries to salvage the bottom push here and try to push as much as he can.
Who's going to make that first move? I mean, if we do see Vitality get on top of the Baron, they can shred it down with something like the Jinx. On the other hand, Solary don't really have that available to themselves. They do need to win a fight in full due to how slow they take that Baron Nashor. But it very well might just be a waiting game for that Elder because we are another 35 minutes into a game, so another Elder Dragon going to come up here for us. Sagenda could be in some trouble, but he deals a good amount of damage back. Slicing Maelstrom and the flash forward. You want to fight me, do you? But now from the back, Xerath looking for the snipes, takes the lantern, one more dodges there. Sagenda is out, but going back in. A big kill for Diplex. He is taking on the team. Nobody's here, but he finds a second. Has to dodge out. Will be able to find the ultimate, but the Resurrect allows him to take it back. Not enough damage to take down kill number 3, but what a big play from Diplex.
It's huge, and look at the timing, Austin. 35 seconds on Solary's jungle, and we have Baron coming up in just 20. This could be an angle. Jessica is still alive, and that means Vitality.Bee could be able to take this down very quickly if they want to. Scarlet doesn't have the ult. There's no range play he could really make here, and at this point, I think the call is being made for the trade. You see the pings coming through. Solary are like, hey, look, we can't fight for this dragon. We have to hope that we can hold on with our wave clear and the potential Baron.
Elder is going down, and well, the trade might be the Baron. They are going to try to do it. Keo can step away at it and actually shred it down decently, as you can see Scarlet hitting it over the wall, but that should be the secured Elder Dragon. It is. The Mega Death Rocket's going to give them a bit of vision, but I think they're going to be able to shred this down in time. Keo is going to get the job done. One more auto, and there it is. So they get the trade, but could Vitality find a window to fight?
No.
Keo, left inside of the pit, will be taken down as they'll take down the top laner.
Keo gets found out. It was a good call for Solary. The best of this bad situation they find themselves in, but this is difficult still. Now, you're 4 versus 5. Now the Elder buff is there, and there's nothing deterring Vitality.Bee from just going in with that Slicing Maelstrom. Even though you don't have the Shadow Surge available, you still have plenty of engage to start things off. Only saving grace, like I was saying, the Baroned up minions do help with the wave clear. Make it a little harder for this engage to come through from Vitality.
Well, the Baron is going to make things at least a tad bit more difficult to try to move up to the towers, as they'll have the empowered minions. But if Vitality can find you and take you down, you are going to absolutely burst with the Elder active, as well as the Chemtech Soul. Curtain Call came out, does a bit of damage. Jeskla now needs to show us his fancy feet. It looks like he's starting to get it down. Has that Bloodthirster as well, so he'll heal right back up. A couple of the key ultimates out of the mix now for the side of Solary. What else can happen now? Vitality.Bee need to try to get into the base, and Sagenda is going to start to hammer away. Solary might have to make a play sooner or later, but what real engage tools do they have? Not too many. They only have long-range poke, and a lot of that's being healed up, but here's the play. Has to flash away. He's feared up. Sagenda gets into the back line. The Elder does so much damage. Slicing Maelstrom, good for 2. Good for 3. The only one left alive is going to be Scarlet, and he's got nowhere to go. Vitality, they'll wait, they'll bite their time, and they strike hard, as they'll find themselves the win and take down the base.
And there it is. We said it. One good Slicing Maelstrom is all it really took for Vitality.Bee to turn this game around, and I'm sure the Chemtech Soul certainly helped. Vitality's second roster are going to find themselves their first win in LFL Spring.
They find that first win. They start off strong. And what a game as they take down the Nexus. Vitality.Bee coming out here.